I will open up this planning board meeting, the town of Maynard. It is Tuesday, June 28th, 2022. The time is 7:03 p.m. This meeting, as meetings in the past have been, it is a hybrid format meeting, so participants can join us here in downtown or virtually online through the Zoom call. Present, we have all board members except here in town, except Natalie. Natalie's joining us virtually online. Let's see.
Yes, hello.
Natalie, thank you. So one Bill, I just want to let you know, I have a conflict for the first meeting in July, and I won't be able to attend this meeting.
As of right now, we don't have anything on there, but I will make note of that.
Okay, thank you. Now, let's, you want to just jump down to number 3, Bill? Old Marble Estate?
Well, we do have, Scott Erickson from, Wisteria Lane on for the, let's see, I'm sorry, Wisteria, yeah, I was thinking they were first, Old Marbles.
Okay.
I don't know if we have anybody from Old Marble on here, do we? Representing Old Marble? Let's see, okay, no, so we can go right to, yeah,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
let's go to number 4, then Wisteria Lane subdivision bond reduction request. Who do we have present online for them?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. My name is Scott Erickson. I'm counsel for the developer out there. So we've been working closely with Wayne. My father's been working with Wayne on the few open items that remain. My understanding is that we are very nearly complete those items. We owe an as-built plan, a solar light, pedestrian light, and then I think a few other minor items, but we are looking for a meaningful reduction in the $144,000 bond that is still being held.
Do you have a sense of what type of reduction you're looking for?
We'd like to have $100,000 reduced. The open items that remain are relatively minor.
You should see the attachment from Wayne, the breakdown of his recommendation.
I am looking at it through this packet, Bill, and I can't find it.
Oh, it's on, no, it's on here, it's on. That's.
Okay, there. Let's bring that up.
I'll bring it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a bit lengthy, so.
Thanks, Scott, for joining us. While Bill is pulling up the materials here, is there anything else you'd like to add?
That's it, unless the board has any questions.
Thank you.
Here's can everybody see that?
You just have to share the screen
Yeah.
and also make it bigger. I mean, there we go. I see where.
You're impressing me every day.
Um,
Little bigger, Bill, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Oh, we gotta see the numbers on the other side. Too big.
Too big. I want too big.
I have an extra paper copy. That I can
Thank you.
give to you guys and you can glance at it or whatever.
For a viewer on Zoom, I just can't see the right-hand column with the dollar figures.
Okay, yeah, let me, I have it,
You
So
scroll
this
over.
is the same one that was in the email
you're almost there.
to Walter.
Well, okay, perfect. Thank you.
It should be the same exact.
Yeah, how do we print this out?
It's now I can see it. It's fine. Thank you.
Wayne, can you confirm the list here looks accurate to you?
So as Scott mentioned, I've been working with Walter on this. We've identified the remaining items that we felt are reasonable. If something happened and the developer defaulted and the town had to complete this roadway and take it to public acceptance. And I believe that Walter and Scott, you can confirm that has agreed with that $37,800 recommended.
Correct.
bond.
Correct.
I can run through them real quick. So, purchase and installation of an RRFB unit on Parker Street, installation of a solar light on the stereo itself, removal of silt fence, drainage system cleaning, detention basin removal, sediment removal rather, planning board certificate of completion, conservation commission certificate of compliance, stamped as-built plans, and legal paperwork for meeting, town meeting acceptance. Subtotal 31.5, 20% contingency, 6,300, brings it to 37,008.
And so we're clear, that's the list of remaining items.
Correct. There were a few minor items I identified in an email to Walter that Julia and I walked the site last week. We believe that those items are covered in the identified in the bond.
Wayne or Scott, are we expecting any modifications that need to come back to the board at all before this is completed, or do we feel good about it?
No, we are not, the applicant is not.
I don't believe anything's gonna be done.
Any questions from the board?
How much is the current bond?
144,000.
It came down from the previous one, which was 389.
So let's cover this again. The original bond is 389K.
Yep.
And it's down to what?
And then it was reduced in 2021 to 144,000, and now they're asking for another reduction to the 37.
I'm not positive, I don't have the data, but I think the original bond, when the project was approved, was like 680
It was
or
higher.
it was a lot higher than, as Julia indicated, it was reduced twice since then.
Any further questions? Okay, so what do we need to rule on that we?
If you take a vote that you're good with the reduction, and then I put there's a release there. And we just record it with the clerk and send a copy to them, and we're good. It just marks that the bond is reduced down to 39. I think it was
370.
37.
I'll make a motion to reduce the bond from $144,000 to $37,800.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Jim. Any further questions, discussion?
And this is for the Wisteria Lane subdivision. Yeah.
All in favor? By hand?
Is Natalie willing?
Oh,
That's okay.
yeah, Natalie, can you just give us a verbal yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. And are you voting? So that's 5-0, Bill, in favor of the bond reduction for Wisteria Lane as presented.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Sure.
Bill, you want to move to 39 Main Street?
I think that would be the best if the board is good with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I have, see here, I have it up. Chris, is this good to work off if I could put this up? You should come up and address the board if you want.
No, for the printed plan.
Get it in.
Late already.
Yeah. This is,
You just have to share the screen.
what?
You have to share the screen again.
Okay. What I did. Second?
And Bill, would you mind giving us a primer on this,
Yes.
just to give some context?
Certainly. This is the former Abishan hardware site that we're talking
Bill,
about.
can you step back and give us a primer on what an A&R is?
Thank you.
Oh, A&R, okay, sorry. A&R is an approval not required determination. It is, the board is attesting that the rules for a subdivision, to create a subdivision, do not apply in a particular division of land. There's 3 factors that you have to look at. You want to go through them, Julie?
No.
Okay, right. We have to have adequate frontage on a recognized way or a, there's another word for a road, but anyway, recognized frontage. You have to have, you're not creating, a non-conformity. It has to conform to the current zoning bylaws for dimensional requirements. And the third is that it, what is the third? Oh, it's infrastructure's in place. And so what the board does in this is, typically, we don't want to create a non-conforming lot if we were doing an A&R in other zoning districts in the DOD, because there's no setbacks and a number of dimensional concessions made in that zoning. It's pretty straightforward. So before I get to the actual project, does that answer everybody's general question about the A&R? So it's a ministerial action rather than a public hearing. So we don't advertise them, we just put it on the agenda. The board is not approving it. The board is finding it, either it meets the criteria that it does not require subdivision approval, or it does. If for some reason the board said, this doesn't meet the criteria, then we have to go through the public hearing process and go through subdivision control. In this case, it's kind of a different. It's not our typical A&R, but is there any questions about A&R before I go into the actual project?
Well, could you just confirm for everybody that this involves basically the shape of the parcel, and location of the parcel, not like the use of the parcel?
That's correct. It is not the use of the parcel. The use of the parcel would not change under the zoning. You're not changing the zoning district at all. But as Bill said, the shape has to conform unless occasionally we do it where we will create a lot that is a non-buildable lot. We did it at least not too long ago.
We've handled a few A&Rs in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, not as many as we had at once, but so.
We don't have much room to subdivide anymore.
This project, did we do it? I think I did it with most of you originally. It was the Abishan hardware store. And if you recall, there was like 2 buildings. One ultimately became Open Table. And the other one has been vacant since. The connection between the 2 buildings was eliminated. We did that.
That was when I think I first joined the board at that time.
Right.
Is there any special considerations with the overlay district in this case, or is that not matter at all?
It doesn't, I mean, it matters in that you're whatever you create can be developed under the downtown overlay district. But I mean, in this case, it's on a way, it's ready to go. I have you're the agent of the site.
Sure.
Okay, so I'll let you Chris, introduce yourself and
Any other questions from the board on that?
Sure.
Yeah, all right, Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris McNary. I prepared the plan. I work for Places Associates. Essentially, we're creating a parcel in the back. And I believe the intent is for that to be conveyed to an adjoiner. All this does is create the parcel, so if they want to do that, they can do that. There are,
Can you help us understand the parcels we're talking about here?
yeah.
Might be easier to zoom in as well. And also, if you stand near the screen, the camera should pick you up and the screen, so,
Okay, how's that?
but
I think that shows enough.
A little bit, but okay, parcel K, right?
Yeah, okay.
So the original parcel kind of went all the way back. So we're gonna have lot A will be in the front with this building. Parcel X will be the parcel in the back. I also, there's an existing passway that I show on the plan, but I did create an easement in here in case it ever became a concern of how you're gonna get back. So you can't get back from the street. Essentially, it meets the zoning requirements, which there really are no requirements as far as side yard setback, front yard setback, frontage area. Ultimately, we're creating parcel X to be conveyed. One thing I do want to mention, the highlighted areas. The plan I brought tonight is a little bit different than the one I submitted. When I got here to file the plan, it was revealed to me that there had been a survey of the parking lot behind it by the town. So I got a copy of that. And I just wanted to clarify some of the abutters. It's all owned by the town. But there's different. It came from different deeds. So those the areas you see that are highlighted, that's all that changed from the original. And then you can't see it on this, but under the list of deeds and plans that I used, I added a few as well.
What do you mean by that last part?
You show some of the hard.
Can I pan this?
you show
Yeah,
some of the-
you're welcome to take control.
You just have to, move the people. Yeah, move them over.
Right here. I just added a few plans.
Oh, I understand that.
Is this whole parcel owned by one entity right now?
Currently it is, yes.
And is it gonna be dropped into one, two, or three more? What's the,
When this is done, so it's currently owned by one person.
okay,
If this plan is endorsed, most likely the back park will be conveyed to somebody else.
so three. The one we have here would be three.
It'll be two.
Be two plus easement?
Yes.
Are we, and we're being asked to
Yes.
do that as well? Or recognize that or whatever we're.
Yes.
The frontage, though, like the access requirement that you have to take into consideration, is from Naylor Court. Yeah, because that is a recognized roadway, up to Ellie Hill. So,
Can you point that out on the map, the butters that we're speaking of? I just want to make it
Parcel
clear.
X, right?
yes,
Yeah.
for parcel X.
Yeah, I
Where,
I just want to be cognizant that we're doing this virtually as well, so we
Yeah.
should just be clear about these things.
Yeah, we were waiting to mark this up on screen, do that.
How's that?
Hey, can we just show us where the frontage is with the mouse that we're talking about?
Yeah.
So that's, okay, so that frontage is part of the consideration because that's adjacent to Naylor Court.
correct.
It has to be,
It's actually
Public way.
recognized,
it has to be what, 100 feet or something? What's the number?
well, in the DOD, that.
Doesn't have to be in it. or
Right.
does it have to be-
But the vital access and the, it's on a public way in this case. Which Naylor Court is actually a way. Which is strange, but
So we think, if we think about like police and fire,
Mhm.
you know, where we're not, the easement is more for private access. We think about police and fire, they're gonna access the building from behind most likely. Or their frontage.
Understood. So this easement. So the client that you represent owns parcel X and lot A.
Currently, yes.
This parcel to the east. That is not owned by your client,
Correct.
and. To me, it looks, maybe it's just the way I'm reading the map, to me, it looks like the easement goes on to the. Parcel of the other owner to the east.
This right here,
Yes.
10-foot passway.
Yeah.
Which goes way, way back.
Mhm.
If you look, it kind of makes sense. These buildings were here. The passway goes all the way back. Once this is conveyed, in order to get back here, I've created, it's a 5-foot easement. It's actually on top of the old passway.
Okay, so you're not, the easement you're proposing to get all the way back is not infringing on the property to the east.
Right.
It's an easement, it is entirely on lot A, from Main Street to parcel X.
That's correct.
Okay.
There's already a passway. So on this side, the parcel to the east, there's already an existing.
Yeah.
Right to get back there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure, I thought I knew the answer, but it sounds like there's no proposal here to add easement to the adjacent property to the east.
Correct.
Natalie, can you follow along and do you have any questions?
No, the property to the east, we are talking about open table, right?
Correct.
Okay, just checking. Then yes, I'm good.
Chris, you mentioned that there's no dimensional requirements for these parcels of properties. Can you elaborate on that, Bill?
Yeah, it's strange. If you're building a single, a mixed use or multi-family. Something like along the lines of, like we've been doing with the mixed use. There's 20-foot frontage requirement. There's no side, there's a 90% coverage requirement. Building coverage, and there are, for setbacks, there's no setbacks. But if this was a new project, or if the project was going to be a multi-family or a mixed use, they would be required to have 20 feet frontage, which is very strange, but that's, in this case, they've got it anyway, but, the other, for height, there's, in that case, there's the 35-foot height. And there's not much else. I mean, the design standards and stuff for building, but dimensional requirements.
Because the building already exists, it's much more simple than our other A&Rs.
Because there's no proposed building.
Correct.
And there's no changes to the building structure on this being proposed at all.
No.
But I want to make sure.
And I mean, it's sort of 45 feet, not 35, 45 height. So, again, it's
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question? This is more for clarification. I'm not really questioning the plan. But we keep talking about open table. Open table is the building on the right,
Correct.
right? And then you've got this computer store or the dog washing building, which is lot A. And then parcel X is what we're looking to subdivide from lot A. I'm just trying to understand the
Yes.
parcel boundaries. So open table, maybe has nothing to do with this.
It's just in the butter.
Thank you, Bill. Yeah, I was getting confused because I thought we were talking about that building. No, I got it now. Thank you.
I think we've talked about adequate frontage. And then we addressed if there's any non-conformity with dimensional requirements.
Right.
Can you run us through infrastructure?
I just spoke on the infrastructure. When I say infrastructure, vital access, there's ability for emergency vehicles, vital access.
Okay.
Infrastructure to accommodate that.
Infrastructure, in this
Road-
case,
road.
specifically
Paved road.
roadways that allows for turning radii and all that for emergency vehicles.
Right.
Okay.
So we're looking at the three things, which are it's a recognized way, which in this case is a public way. That is conforming with the dimensional requirements and that it has adequate ability to accommodate vital emergency access.
Any questions, comments from the board? Wayne, anything to add?
Oh, no, no other questions. As long as it meets all the dimensional criteria, I don't have any issues.
What is the use of the property in the back? The parcel that would be in the back? I'm not sure.
Currently,
Yeah.
it is, there's no, occupants there. It was the Aubuchon hardware store. And then,
It's the old-
currently just a vacant building.
It was warehouse storage essentially, I believe, right?
It was warehouse from Aubuchon.
Is it deemed occupiable?
As a warehouse facility, yeah.
The reason a warehouse is allowed in this case is it's gonna be ancillary use to the open table, because you couldn't just have a warehouse per se in the DOD. But it's, in this place, it's ancillary would be open table.
Natalie, any further questions?
No,
That was definite.
I have nothing else. Anything else? I see no challenges with this. I think it's all well presented. Thank you, Chris, for your time.
Thank you.
Bill, what's the action?
You would vote that you find it consistent, with it meets the criteria for, the ANR, separation. It is not a design, it's not a subdivision. And in this case, since the net's here and these are signed, we can, I think if it's okay with the chair, I request that a net vote and then you just sign it here. Natalie, we don't have to wait then.
Okay, Natalie, are you okay, allowing, Annette to stand in as a member for this?
yes,
So Bill, just clarify, when you say it meets, are we
Said what? I'm
referencing,
sorry?
are we referencing a specific document?
I didn't hear what you said.
Are we referencing a specific document when you say it meets? Are we just saying the general concept? is-
Yeah, it's,
Or do we have to say plan number, whatever, with that date on it?
okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that this particular plan, this ANR proposed plan, it's the signed plan and it's dated signed on 6/10 on June 10th, 2022.
Is there a title on it?
39 to 43 Main Street. It's not the best name, is it?
Chris, you mentioned that there were edits made, but at least the one on the line is the one Bill has here with the date reference. Is that the most updated?
Yes.
This is the same plan there. The original one that was routed around was not.
I didn't change the date. I just brought this one.
So if we're referencing the June 10th set of plans, that's accurate and correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have to. Our scope is to determine that it's consistent with the ANR criteria. That we have to determine that the plan dated June 10th, as shown here today, is consistent with the ANR criteria. Right?
It does not constitute subdivision.
And does not constitute subdivision. I will make a motion to, I guess, to determine that the plans that are shown here from June 10th, the plans as documented as 39 to 43 Main Street are consistent with the ANR criteria and do not constitute a subdivision.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Jim. Anything else to add to that? All right, all in favor by hand? 5-0 in favor.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this is something you wanted signed?
Yeah, if we could, now we can wait till after and Chris can pick it up tomorrow if you prefer. We have one more item to go through.
You can sign it now, sure.
Okay, and we have, this is for the early loan year, so. Release. So there's 5 of these I can,
Oh, we have to sign all of those?
yeah,
Okay, we'll do that.
okay. And then you can pick them up tomorrow at one point.
Okay.
All right,
Thanks, Chris. for your time.
thank you, Chris.
Bill, item 3 is release from covenant, Old Marlboro Estates.
Yes,
Is there a representative here for that?
I don't think so.
Were you expecting a representative?
No. No,
Oh, you weren't?
which one? Stop our share. Let's see.
Couple of,
Chris, if you got enough people, I gotta refuse some.
Okay. And let's get our.
Mr. Newhouse was not planning on coming.
Old model. So this came about. Oh. Old Marlboro Road. Subdivision.
Keep going, I'm just gonna get it in line.
We found out during recent sale of an employee. Outlet that Tobin Road and Barloni Circle right here. These were approved in 1988. They were never released from their covenant to build roads, the lighting. But they were accepted by the town. I don't know, way before me.
From all of us.
Yeah, but I guess they released the bond, but they never released the covenant. That could hold up a sale, which in this case it did. It puts a cloud on the title. If you dig deep enough, you find it. So I double checked with DPW. And Tobin Drive. And this doesn't say Baroni Circle, but it was as well. Were inspected by, we already own them. And they have no issues with releasing the covenant.
Excuse me, Bill, I don't think we're sharing screen.
Oh,
You just have to, I think you minimized.
oh, for God's sake.
Well, he does that just to add some more context. So basically the house went for sale, an offer was put on it. When they did the title search, that's what they found. And they also found that this subdivision, from a conservation side, just to be honest, well, they didn't close anything. So they built these properties, started selling immediately. And unfortunately, no one has caught it until now. Because they're on the title. And you know, you have to do a pretty extensive title search to find them. So houses have probably been bought and sold multiple times.
This is printed out.
But you know, it wasn't until this lawyer who was involved in this one sale was able to find it. So that's why we're seeing this now. And the goal is, you know, you're releasing the covenant of the whole subdivision. So that way the next time a house goes for sale, hopefully this will not interrupt that title.
Well, you definitely don't want to punish the lawyer that discovered this, that's for sure. Yeah,
Next time on the highway.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. He also found a very old order of conditions that was also not closed. And unfortunately, on conservation side, you can't close it all at once. So we're releasing this. And in normal standpoints, when you release a covenant, you go and check to make sure that the road and all of the utilities are acceptable, but the road is already accepted. There's not. At this point.
How long is things weren't picked up, so no one else sales, that's
It-
one shot.
It's very surprising
Yeah,
that
it's
this,
concerning.
but you know, we're catching it now, so it's a good reminder that we have a lot of things.
I have
Surprises.
questions. The entity that would have been responsible for making sure this was released is dissolved at this
So
point.
it's the developer, most likely.
And
So-
they're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone.
So the-
Yeah.
Yeah,
The entity that we would, to ensure that this doesn't, you know, that the developer can't get out of it without releasing this, and, you know, going through the streets is the bond. So once that bond was released, the town lost all, you know,
Leverage.
leverage to get these things back in 1990.
Is there? I saw some of the responses from in-town folks, different entities, DPW and else. Does anyone have anyone see a problem with this?
No, so I mean, we own the street, we own the whole. Shebang since it was accepted. There's no, I looked. Also, in our, because we do a small bonds that we kick around. Nothing for this, so it's strictly the covenant holding it up. But, and it worked in this case. But something, was it Bill? Oh, Bill must,
Yes, I'm just watching to make sure the screen is visible.
He's double checking.
it's.
I don't know what questions to ask.
It's very unusual. Typically, like when we were, like, for example, the last covenant that we had,
Come on.
we
can you help
did.
us out? There must be some questions we need to figure out.
Bill, maybe you can, what does the covenant do? What did it do?
Typically, a bond is, now they're doing like a tripartite agreement for specific improvements that the town wants to ensure are completed before it's totally released. A covenant is often added as well for other things. So for example, if we were doing them as a board, I think we did with Walter probably. Can't remember. But
You only
we
have
did them with
bond.
Keene, we've done them with. They're for other things as well, so they will specify a certain improvements that have to be made, but they may have other requirements, like, for example, one that we always try to do is who's going to take care of some of the infrastructure that's gonna be shared. We'll do it with, a homeowners association. We'll say you have to have a homeowners association. It probably, if you had you probably could do it all in a decision if you had everything with you there, but a covenant's typically done early to make sure that there's certain guarantees that will be carried forward with the.
There's no HOA or any other entity here. It's just parceled out to homeowners.
Yeah, the requirements in this one that concerned us were construction of roads, DPW standards, streetlights, curbing, and sidewalk on one side was required,
And unfortunately,
and
there's-
trees.
there is nothing that we have the power to go back to that developer.
Yeah.
Bill, who
Because
was,
we
who
already
was
did
the developer?
Developer it's in the little, it wasn't Hayes, it was.
Was it Jim Coleman LLC?
That wasn't mine, no.
It's in there, I can't remember the name, it's on one bottom.
Bill, can you see, did it say anything in the title of that plan?
Oh, yeah, I know, I can go.
And Natalie, do you have?
Oh, yeah, it was Quirk, Yeah.
Natalie,
That's
Oh, that's-
Clearwater Trust, yeah.
That figures,
you know those guys?
huh?
You know those guys?
Oh, yes, know them very well.
Natalie, are you following along? Do you have anything, any questions?
You're muted, Natalie.
She said no. She said no, yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
He's not muted, but she's good.
You're talking, but we can't hear you.
Oh, we're having audio difficulties, Natalie.
Let's do
She's
shit.
fine. I'm happy to vote yes on this. I just need help with the wording.
Yeah, so this is a little different. We have a release of covenant again, it would be signed by the board, and then Chris, would you be able to stop by town hall this week at all? There's
Of course. I'll do it for Julia. How about that? No.
Yeah, Julia will ask. What you do is just, you would hear, I have a TJ back at the end, release the covenant.
Well, it seems like a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, oh yeah, we're serious. The covenant. for-
Because usually there's a lot on the line. But
But a covenant for the old Marlboro Road Estates subdivision. Would be releasing.
Robert D. Quirk, trustee, Clearwater Trust.
And he's dead now, so that's the end of that.
Yeah. Thanks, thanks, Jim. Yeah. Should I cross this out and put a state of,
Well,
sorry, I shouldn't make fun of it if he's, sorry. No, we didn't. Okay, so walk me through what the vote is then, or the motion.
The motion to release Old Marble Road Estates from the covenant date originally dated. Yeah, there, it is,
1986.
yeah, I'll pull the actual covenant up.
And this is now known as, Tobin.
There, the covenant, and it was, dated, what was the original date of it, signed on? It's. There, from August 3rd, 1988.
Yeah.
23rd.
I got August 23rd, yeah.
Yeah.
So the motion will be then, Bill, just walk me through this, to release Old Marlboro Estates, which is currently referenced as Tobin Drive. From its covenant, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it says Tobin Drive on the.
Do you want me to just,
It's
Yeah,
just currently known as, just because that's the biggest reason why this wasn't found on earlier titles. Is because it's referenced as Old Marlboro Estate. So, now that's not a term used, in all of our records. So I just want to make sure that this record gets both of those names, so that way it can follow the properties.
all right, I think I got this. All right, so I'll make a motion to release Old Marlboro Estates, which is currently known or referenced as Tobin Drive, from the covenant for Old Marlboro Road Estates dated August 23rd, 1998. 1988. Which is also registered in the Middlesex Court of Deeds book 19311, page 192. That's the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Those recused himself, so
Bill recused himself?
we don't need to discuss it. You just did, that's fine. This is true.
Okay.
So
That
we're never gonna
sounds
vote on this.
working.
All in favor by hand here, I have 4-0 here. Natalie, can you give me a hand or a thumbs up? Thank you. So that's 5-0 in favor of the release of the covenant bill.
Thank you. Then I will provide you each with the, again, a document similar to what we signed with the Wisteria Lane. The difference is for Chris, if you could pop in, I'll leave it with Julia. I'm gonna leave the, that one they want notarized with a little side thing, so.
Can I come by tomorrow?
Once
Yes,
here.
I will figure out what you decide.
You looked through it, right?
We'll talk offline.
Yes. We see,
Can we go off the record for a moment?
I
I'd like to say something off the record.
sure would it's still gonna be recorded. Right, because I can't stop the recording mid planning board. Unless, I don't know,
if you, after you adjourn,
can we adjourn for a recess?
I'll tell you a little story about this whole situation.
oh, well, the rest of the agenda. Is, maybe there's. Now, one of your agenda stuff.
What do you do?
I'm trying to stop my share.
All the way to the top. Top of the screen. There you go.
Okay, and, all right, the rest of the agenda. I think that's it. Can we do minutes?
We have minutes, we have the discussion of home-based businesses, which I would like to get to. And then we have on here overlay district and planning update. I'd like to get to item 6, the home-based businesses work group update.
we can give you an update. We did, we're still waiting on all the input Thank you, Jim, for being prompt. I'm gonna scold the rest of your colleagues here in a minute, because you're on time. Oh, don't scold them.
I have to head out.
Oh, thank you.
So-
Yeah, thank you.
I'll see
I agree.
you, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, can I come by in the morning?
Yes.
I have a busy rest of the week, so tomorrow morning's my only.
You just,
That sounds
if
good.
you just scamper them up to the, or if I'm not here. We can leave it with Janelle, just have it, he signed it in front of the notary.
Yeah, I'm just concerned because I don't know what the hours are tomorrow.
Becky, oh, Becky's the notary, she's not.
Yeah.
She's the second notary,
Don't think so.
we'll dig up a notary.
I'll email you once I figure that out.
Yes, I will. Yeah, definitely before noon.
Okay,
I have some feedback on what was presented, but first, Bill, thanks for all that effort. It was very substantial and thoughtful and very thorough, so. Really appreciate that.
Okay.
Definitely a lot of effort put into this, which is great.
Oh, I'm just yeah, this is not much of a responsive. It's the issue.
I didn't say this yet.
Right, well, I'll pass it down. So Bill, Mr. Chair, sorry, I'd like to have Bill's been on fire with us.
Please.
Good, let me give us an update, and then tell me when you want. I'll scroll.
Well, as far as the update goes, I mean. Bill distributed of the first draft to members of the ZBA and members of the planning board last week with the hopes that those members would report back to their chairs with their comments, and then the chairs would consolidate the comments and perhaps discuss amongst themselves and then report back to their individual boards. I should think about whatever, commonalities and things, differences of opinions, whatever. But the hope is that everybody will give comments to their chairs by the end of this week.
And then I should consolidate those comments.
Yeah, we're gonna look at you.
It's okay. Say so.
Yeah, because who knows, they might, somebody might say yes, and somebody might say no, and you get to choose.
Great. I'll be happy to do that.
sorry, do you mind if I interrupt? 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Great. Love 10 a.m.
Thank you.
Yes, and Bill and Brad, and I. We've been through a couple of reiterations, but I think it's pretty good. And I'm looking forward to hearing everybody's.
And a couple of points on looking at it. I mean, it's helpful to look at it from the standpoint of a potential applicant, to see if it's clear for them to understand. That's the most important thing. But it's also important to look at it against the current regulations. And, is it different? Is it better? Is it more restrictive? I mean, just keep all the things in mind when you're looking at it. It's not just a matter of reading a bunch of words. You have to actually take some circumstances to review it and work it through and see if it works for potential applicants and works for perhaps even the neighbors who are trying to figure out if the applicants are doing what's left.
The goal when we originally were tasked by everybody, the zoning board and the planning board, was to make some things, simplify some things and other things to kind of update them and clarify the process. I think it's done that, I think. We have a few things to catch up on, so. I did also, to respond to a question that you asked, Bill, I gave Rick our stuff and I asked him to give us some feedback, so on the commercial vehicle degradation, we'll figure that out. What we want to do, but I haven't heard, he didn't give it to me yet.
Yeah, I mean, there was one of many overlapping parts in the zoning bylaw, our rules about commercial vehicles is a separate section and it often applies to a home-based business, but I don't know, we'll have to figure out actually how we apply it in current situation before we can figure out if it needs to be.
Right, exactly. Jim, do you, that's right up your alley on that too. What? Did you look at our, in our bylaws, we what Bill's talking about with commercial vehicle, what constitutes, a commercial vehicle. What have you done in the past with trailers?
So depending upon, are you talking about the normal garden variety tag along trailer or a box trailer that fits to a tractor? I think you're talking about the,
I would think we're thinking like, it could be, I guess, a landscaping trailer, for example, like a company that. And the other was about what was the other one? A construction vehicle.
Sure. Because I mean, we have a separate zoning section that says everybody's allowed to have one commercial vehicle on their property up to 25,000. And if they want more than one, they have to have permission, but it's not specific whether, if you have a truck and a trailer, is that two?
well, I don't believe that, I've registered a number of them. I'm trying to remember how. I don't think, Bill, that unless they've laws changed, and they may have, a tag-along trailer, was generally, non-specific as far as whether it's commercial or homeowner type of a vehicle. A lot of times the insurance companies for, company that have an account that is a commercial account will specify on the registration that is a commercial vehicle, but there's no special plate for it.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're just seeking opinion from, the building inspectors, how he interprets our zoning bylaw. The trailer count, there's a Prius with a magnetic sign on the side count, I don't know, but he's the guy who gets to interpret it, so we're just trying to figure out how he does it. And we're just waiting for clarification from him.
Yeah, I think that would he could be the one to do it.
These commercial vehicles have to stop very early in the morning. And then they go outside the town with the truck. Which does make,
Well, the problem is we don't actually know what a commercial vehicle is. Because our zoning is not very clear, so we're just, one of the things we're waiting for is the building inspector to tell us what he considers a commercial vehicle, then we can understand whether we need to do anything.
and they don't require special commercial plate.
There was a,
Well, I mean, it's all up to the building inspector. He's the one who interprets the zoning bylaw, so.
If the neighbor has a big.
So we just have to figure out how he interprets it. Once he does, then we'll report back and then we can understand the implications.
there was one rule, there was a size of truck that had to have commercial plates. I can't remember what it was, but Brad, the other fellow who's working on this from the zoning board, knew that one, and we knew, but yeah, we'll see what we can get from Rick.
I remember months ago, we were, I think, in concept. Maybe I'm not, it's definitely possible, but I thought in concept we're not planning to make changes to anything that would regulate or deregulate commercial vehicles at all. But did we find ourselves needing to get?
No, we're just trying to understand what that means and then react. to it.
Okay.
So, like, we're not changing that section of the zone, we just understand.
Thank you.
Have a good holiday. Thank you. So if the other thing, so if it turns out the other section doesn't address trailers, then maybe we want to address trailers.
I see what you're
And then
saying.
it's also like, steam shovel or something I have. Does that count? I don't know. We'll find out.
Right.
I would suggest that if anything is ever changed as far as the commercial vehicle situation is concerned, that you lower the 25,000 pound VVW to somewhere around 12 or 14,000 pounds, because 25,000 VVW vehicle could be a box truck 22 or 24 feet long. That's a big thing to park at somebody's yard. So I understand how somebody just pick that number, but, it really, should be dropped to somewhere around 16,000 pounds. That would accommodate a dual, rear wheel, F-450 or 500 that's pulling a trailer with a backhoe. But when you get to the bigger vehicle or the grocery vehicle weight thing, then it could be an enormous box truck. And that would take up the whole driveway or something so if it ever comes to that, we need
13,000.
look at it.
I do want to be cognizant of scope creep too. We may want to think, if there are a number of changes that we think that are important to make when it comes to commercial vehicles, it might be something we consider a separate sort of trajectory. So it doesn't get tied up in this particular scope, because I think the scope is really well defined in the STAR, which is about ancillary uses. So something to consider, you know, if we see, maybe if we see a lot of changes there, that'd be helpful. Maybe that's a separate.
Yeah,
something
there's
we push separately.
there's a couple things, and, you know, there's also a couple things that probably are more better addressed in a general bylaw and not a zoning bylaw.
Okay. Yeah.
And, you know, that may come out of the discussions.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you shouldn't be able to do this. It's like, well, that's not a zoning thing. That's just a general bylaw town rule. So
Yeah. So when
maybe it should go over there.
when we review this, if you have feedback on the scope and you see things that may, you know, may be out of this particular scope, call it out, and maybe we carve that out and figure out what to do next with those items. I don't want to lose track of them, it's all good work,
Right,
but I want to make sure the scope is well defined for
Yeah,
what we're
if-
trying to push through.
If there is something that you feel falls under that, you know, when we do zoning bylaw amendments that are like smaller. We have a spreadsheet that I just keep it on, you know, like either, something smaller, so we can always move it over there. And, you know, if there's something you felt like that, we could do it separate, but, however you guys want to do it, but you'll. Also behind you, I've placed the A&Rs there, there's 5 copies, and if you could, you can all turn around if you want at one point or another, and just sign those.
And I'm also just reflecting back on the public hearings and meetings we've conducted about this, the public outreach.
Mhm.
And my recollection was that we didn't get focused at all on commercial vehicles and didn't get much feedback on that. So it's, you know, it's something I'm gonna be careful about. Adding to this particular scope, because
Yeah,
we didn't get the same level of feedback on that particular item.
it's hard, well, you know.
But again, I totally get the effort and I totally agree with
I
it.
mean, why we brought it up, because, you know, it comes up so often, you're gonna have one commercial
We can
vehicle.
continue down these paths and continue to find things that are helpful to improve, for sure. That's for sure. We just gotta figure out where to draw the box.
A near-term issue is just to understand how it's being defined in
Yeah, I get it.
towns. I don't know, my ride on lawnmower, a commercial vehicle, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree, totally agree with the effort, for sure. One quick, can I ask a question or, yeah?
Sure.
There is part of the change. Or part of the proposal. Was, they carved out a few, activities that were,
Mm.
I guess maybe not allowed. Did I get that correct? I think there was 4. One was doggy daycare, another was, I think, it said body art, but I guess that's tattooing.
Yeah,
I just wanted, is there,
Right, yeah, that's,
what's the background to having those particular items called out?
Well, the body art is just it's just moving the reference to this section, because it already has its very own standalone one. And the very first line of it says, body arts don't count as home occupation. So we're just moving that line over here for clarity. The repair work, you know, you're doing body work and car painting, you know, that's pretty standard, as never allowed in residential. And same with the food services, and also, and same with the food services, that we just took that from damn near every other one you could ever find would have those. And then the doggy daycare came up because it had been a ZBA case, and it just never fit anywhere. That you could set rules that might apply in a residential zone to that level of activity. Because everything else here is intensities, how many visitors, how many clients come during the day, how many cars show up in the day. And then dog daycare could be, 2 or it could be 20, and it just didn't fit anywhere. And it. Or it ended up there, but, like all this is just, the first draft, throwing it out.
Yeah, that's why I was asking about, how we got to that.
But that B came from the ZBA case, A and C came from other examples, and the body art just came from a different section of the current zone.
Do you think when we get our input in, we talked about having a joint meeting with the ZBA when we each board had commented on it. And we could. Well, we have to figure out how to do it, but we should schedule that, when we're comfortable with the changes in there. So we get, particularly just, it'll probably be at the end of the summer. I guess.
I'm comfortable. I feel like this draft is, like a 90% draft. Something of that nature where we're really close, I think. That's my sense.
I think so.
And
Yeah.
I think we can start thinking about scheduling sort of next steps and working towards it. I think if we schedule the next steps, we'll be better at working towards it, so.
And what was it, Bill? There was one other thing that we had to, isn't there one other area that we had in there that we had a question about?
Great questions about all sorts of things, but.
No, we had.
I had a question about the body art thing.
Oh.
Is there
Yeah,
Is there any more history to understanding of why body art was called out so explicitly?
yeah,
Was that just a prejudice against tattooing back 20, 30 years ago?
No, it wasn't 20 or 30.
50 years ago?
No, we were like 15.
Okay.
Yeah. I agree. I frankly, I wouldn't mind seeing that revisited. 'Cause, well, it seems kind of silly nowadays. But at the time, it was, ooh, geez.
well, here's what we ran into with that body art, which is interesting, because it is gonna come back to you guys. But there's a different reason. Yeah, it's restricted to certain areas, and like you said, but what has become popular, and I guess it's been popular for a while, but is permanent makeup for ladies. Or I guess, or whoever wants it, and that falls under our body art now. And you can't have it in the downtown overlay district. So, if you wanted to have, I don't know, you do the eyebrows, you do, I don't know if they do lipstick, maybe.
They do
or
outline, they do eyeliner.
Yeah,
They put mold on it,
so we want to look at that. I think it's been something that we've had people want to come in and do. And interestingly enough, kind of interesting, I guess. Like I always associated it with a hair, like at a hair salon or something like that, or nail salon, you get it done. Can't be. It's got to be its own. It's got very specific regulations, but it still falls under body art. So that's one that I'll probably bring up. It's a smaller one, but the one we'll bring up. And then we could look at. You guys can look at the if you wanted to look at the tattoo part or the body art.
So the body art is much more expansive than tattooing.
Yeah, it has piercing, it has, I don't know.
Bring it up. I mean, it's got a whole chapter on its own.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't go that deep with it, so I was just.
Yeah, so
super
it's just,
curious.
it's just like the commercial video. It touches this, but
Yeah.
it has its own separate section. And it has a big separate section.
Okay, all right, I'll go. with it.
But I think, times have changed and I don't,
I don't want
I'm a little overreacted right now. it seems.
I like that.
Right, do you mean that the zoning regs overreact or seem like they're overreacted or are overreacting, I guess, to personify it? Is
Yeah.
Reacting to some threat or whatever?
Yeah. It was a pretty fun discussion.
Yeah, I was just taken back when I saw that the original, I caught it this time, the original zoning bylaw we had, which was just there shall not be any.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it's very explicit. Why are we calling just that out in that one sentence?
Yeah, so yeah, it
Oh,
does,
sorry.
it has quite a bit.
Natalie's trying to speak, but Natalie, we just can't hear you. And I don't know
Oh,
why.
she laryngitis?
No, it's, Bill Crenshaw, can you unmute on that to see if, you can speak into it?
Oh, I didn't log in with the audio.
Natalie, can you check your,
Include Airbnb.
we-
There you go.
oh, there, now we get it.
Well,
That's
Yeah.
all.
No, he can hear us, but you're not.
That's all.
Can you hear me?
So Natalie, we're getting audio through, so I'm thinking it might be on your end. Sorry.
Yeah, there's,
Can I ask a question on, Mr. Chairman, speak?
yes,
Airbnbs or room renting, is that also considered an in-home business?
That's another one that's has its own separate section that's not part of this.
So
yeah,
And I think somebody else is working on it, right? Videos and over this, but
yeah,
you know, same with daycare, you know, that has its own rules in the zoning and that is addressed by those rules and that's not part of this.
there's not an in-home business. Good. I would consider. it an
Uh,
in-home business.
So, yeah,
You know, that's-
I mean, these things do, I would say generally count as something that's called an in-home business, but I think the zoning we're working on is the ancillary use. So you have you're in a residential property of a residential house. You have this small side hustle or small ancillary use. That doesn't have much impact to the neighborhood. I think that's the general concept. I think a child daycare center would be a full-time use.
well, they also fall under, I think we
Yeah.
should protect the class.
I mean, daycare has its own state rule.
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
You never want to mess that up with other stuff.
Yeah.
So, and like, we have kennels called out separately in our stuff, so, you know, private kennels, that has its own rules and that's separate. And so there's lots of stuff that Maynard keeps separate in their zoning, and this effort here only consolidated what has been called customary home occupation in trade shops. It didn't consolidate any others.
I'm assuming the members of the public that have joined us tonight may have joined us for this particular item. I'm happy to take, this is not a hearing or anything of that nature, but I am happy to take public comment. But I do ask that it is constructive if possible. I consider this a working group effort that's trying to help improve things. So I'm definitely happy to take public comment if public comment is welcome.
Andy Moreline, 123 Summer Street. No, I'm just curious how you guys are doing with it. You know, I just, obviously you guys all probably know that we're engaged in a situation with our home studios as artists. And we just wanted, in any way that we can, provide some advice and some, you know, experience from ourselves that might be imparted. So no, we have no agenda. We're just listening in and trying to see what you guys are doing. At least that's why I'm here. Sorry to interrupt.
Please, Andy, I was just taking a guess because I assumed no one wanted to show up to talk about the bond reduction for Wisteria Lane. So it was just a complete guess.
No, you know what, but I find it really fascinating. I go to a lot of town meetings, I've got to admit. So, you know, it's just our way of trying to understand how towns like this, you know, it's a lot of volunteer governance and I respect that. You know, I'm on cultural council and I was doing the master plan implementation committee with Jason, and I just, you know, and Donna's done a bunch of stuff. We're just really curious how small towns can pull this off with people who volunteer to do it. And I just want to make sure that when you guys are making decisions, you get support so that it passes and doesn't get opposed.
Yeah, and any feedback, feel free to convey it to me in email or to Bill or, you know, any way that works for you. I'm happy to always take feedback at all times. So.
Yeah, I guess the only question I have is do you have a working document at this point? I couldn't find it anywhere.
It's-
Okay.
Yeah, it's still draft form. The way open meeting laws work, we try to put forth a document once it's ready to go to the committees for review. That way we can work towards the hearings itself. That's just the guidance I get from council, so.
It will be out though, I mean, you'll have time to look at it before, eventually. I don't know when we'll have it out, but
Well, I would think, I would hope it will be soon after we're able to consolidate comments from the board.
I would hope so.
yeah,
I mean,
it's
I want to get it a little
right.
closer to the finish line than it is now. Before we send it out, we're just wasting our time.
And we're gonna have public meeting, then we can all look at it and take public input on it. So be plenty of time.
yeah, it sounds like Bill, you're talking about end of the summer for a joint meeting. I would like to have these comments wrapped up. And provided on this initial draft, within a couple of weeks for
Yeah,
sure. And
July 1 is for our comments
Right.
to us.
so. And Natalie, just as a reminder, there's also a call-in number. Could try if you wanted to participate. Right? Yeah, I still can't hear you, Natalie. I'm sorry.
You can do pad and paper too. I wonder. Oh, yeah.
I have nothing else. Anything else on the board, Ms. Menon? Bill Crenshaw, thanks for all the effort on this. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a really good one.
Yes, fine. We can look at minutes. Bill likes it when we approve minutes.
I do. And I also.
Feel bad that there's some press.
Some of these roll.
Yeah, there's two. Well, you know why? You'll recognize two. The first two were from when we did the joint meeting. With zoning board and we had to have, and I did them as joint minutes. And the zoning board had something else come up, so they wanted me to do them as individual. They're not that exciting, but, and then the others are regular. And then the A&R, there's 5 of them behind you. There.
Not like we were on.
I like all of them.
I looked at the better ones before, so I'm not gonna look at those again.
I'm dying to go Jim's story.
Motion on the minutes?
There's no motion from those.
Oh, you want me to do it?
Please.
I move that we approve the minutes of February 8th.
I'll second it. All in favor? Yep, 5 here. Okay, thank you.
I move that we approve the minutes of February 9th.
A second. All in favor? 5-0. For February 9th.
Then I approve, motion we approve the minutes of May 24.
A second, all in favor? Meeting minutes, Bill, for February 8th, February 9th, and May 24th were all approved with 5-0 votes.
Yep.
In the affirmative. Okay. Item 7, Bill, Natalie, any luck yet or no? Okay, sorry. Item 7, overlay zoning districts, reading material, what's this?
I just loaded some, you could, the guys have asked me about it before. So I just loaded some, I just found some cool articles that I found, so I just was keeping them as a resource on our board docs there. So it's just for, people had asked me, why would we do an overlay district as opposed to, straight zoning and these, so it's just, as I accumulate pieces, I just put them on there. So they're there for reference. We're gonna be doing the powder mill, so I figured it's, good to have any resources. Just geek stuff I like, And,
Planning update, what's going on?
well,
Okay.
this is a good one.
Okay.
Planner update, really we don't have a lot new here. Unfortunately, I have a piece of kind of planning knows it's bad, but we have our health agent who we were very fond of, who came and has just done a remarkable job at turning, or well, not really turning around, it's fine. I mean, it was not, we didn't really have the health department set up for ages. He set it up very nicely. John Roberts and Robertson, and as soon as we got him going, he is heading off to our former town administrator, Kevin Sweet's regional health agency. I can't think of the name of it, but so we were losing him after 6 months or so, and it's a big loss. But so that was kind of, we did hire a new clerk today. We'll be starting next week, so that's good. And I think that's really all I have. We had I worked on with some and I helped out a little bit with some of the cultural council stuff, and they had Jazz Fest this weekend. I don't know if you guys had a chance to go to it, but it was, well, I don't know why we didn't reach everybody, but it was really terrific. A good placemaking event, and the thing that was cool with it, was not the weather, because it was like being in the mouth of a dog, for God's sakes. It was very warm, but it was done in the basin right in front of the mural, and it was really nice to kind of activate that space. And so I'm hoping that we have it every year. It was sponsored by a number of local businesses, including Rise and 4 or 5 others. I can't remember all of them offhand, but it was really a nice event. So
Was there a decent turnout?
I think it was a steady turnout. I think personally that we need to work on outbound marketing for this sort of thing and do a better job at it. And we did have a grant at it. And if you haven't had a chance to look at the Discover Maynard website, they're doing a great job. Linda, is she on your stuff? Yeah, Linda's been doing really some cool updates on that. And but I always get the feeling that people don't know about it. And the fact that Bob didn't know about it, he lives down the road.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
my God.
don't you read my stuff I send you guys? Good Lord.
Most of it.
I'm going right to spam, I'll bet with some of you. Yeah, but it was, it could have been, it's something to build on, and I think everybody that was there loved it, but I would have liked to see it packed, like where you couldn't. I'd like to see it wall to wall, where, with people. And
I saw
next
some
year,
very smart people watching it from Memorial Park under the shade of the trees. looking
Mhm.
down.
well, that was.
Figure out what was going on, but it's like, you're doing something.
Yeah, okay. Well, next year, if we're gonna do it in that spot, the first thing we do would be get a true event tent. Because it was really warm. And I was out there for a little while with my shorts, and thank goodness, because I had the dog with me. The dog was like having heat stroke. And it was like, but it was a cool event, and but I think it, in my opinion, next time we get with the Economic Development Committee and the Cultural Council, I think the outbound advertising is the key, because we could have had a lot bigger draw. The bands were great. We had the high school jazz band we had. I can't remember the name of the band that Bob knew. And,
BTALC, big band. or
they
something?
were great. They were doing like jazz funk fusion stuff,
Yeah.
and then they had Adam Birnbaum was a fellow with a trio, a jazz trio out of New York. And it was really quality music. It was like, I don't think you could have done better. But I'd like to see it wall to wall people.
And
Jam.
by the way, that band is playing the Medusa Brewing Company.
Yes, they did say that. They did say they're playing Medusa.
There you go.
And there's like 800 people in the band, so it was like, they could do the horns and everything, and it was terrific. And
Well, I'm glad that happened. Is there plans for next year too?
I don't, I can't imagine there wouldn't be something, but I don't think it's been set yet. Actually, since we should take advantage of Linda's on here, if if we haven't put her to sleep, she might know. But there, I mean, it would be a shame not to do it again, because that kind of stuff, the placemaking stuff is, we did verse it. The placemaking stuff is so cool, and it was really neat, and in front of the mural, I thought it was so neat in front of the mural on top of it, so it's like all the stuff that the town has done. And music people, you're gonna get the music people, but you don't have to be a music person to enjoy that, I don't think. It's just fun to be around.
Hi, Linda. I see you came off mute.
She can tell us
Yep.
more about it.
No, I was just going to say, I think the hope is to do it again. They called it the first annual, so I think the hope is to do it again next year, but yeah. I think
sure I'm
there were still, I had very little to do with it, so I think that the planners are still recovering from it. They planned this in about less than 2 months, I think, so it was pretty amazing. It was a great turnout. And one thing I will ask, Bill, I sent you a message, but whenever I come across someone who didn't hear about something, I try to find out where they get their information from, so we can maybe figure out if there's a theme, or, if we're missing something or targeting. A few people I spoke with saw it in the Action Unlimited, so.
And where do you get your information, Mr. Brown or Mr. Crenshaw?
Facebook.
Facebook.
Well, so Facebook will only give you
And
certain
belongs
things.
to-
I mean, it was out there on Facebook, but it's an algorithm.
Or what? But you didn't know either.
I did know, actually,
All right.
yeah. I ran into Armand and
Armand did a heck
we
of a job.
actually were traveling and had plans, but we would have definitely been there.
Yeah, Armand did a lot of work with that one. He did a DJ,
I'm pretty sure he wants to do that.
and I'm sure I'm forgetting some of it.
Sorry, can we move on?
Yep.
I think it's a great concept and I hope it continues. What else is happening? We haven't been touch base in a while.
Not much, I've been on,
Our Powder Mill Corridor Initiative.
well, we got the second grant, which is what we were waiting for, so we did get that fully funded. Ralph, you remember Ralph Wilmer from MAPC who did our last one, he just retired. And so we're gonna have, they're switching people around. We're having Chris Bushnell is gonna do it with us, who did our Complete Streets stuff, you guys may remember, and somebody else from there.
What's the schedule on that?
I haven't gotten it yet. I haven't gotten it. It's gonna have to be, it has to be spent by next summer, so.
Okay, well, I hope it gets spent way before next summer.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think we all do have an urgency to get it, to at least start the process of getting
Yeah.
that initial hearing on the docket.
Right, and the MAPC portion of it, is the planning part, but we got the second grant was from the the Office of Economic Affairs, under slaughter name, EEA. So they supplemented the grant too, so we got really 2 grants to do the same project, so we got like $80,000. Better than a sharp stick in the eye. And
What's this, do we have a specific scope yet?
we do. We do, if we're going to, well, part of it's gonna be develop the actual zoning.
I feel like Bill's getting grilled right now. Do you get the same sense? It's okay, Bill.
I've been grilled for,
Okay.
it's been,
I just want to understand scope and schedule. That's it.
where we are well within it.
Okay. What is it?
Yes.
We're at the behest and they.
Yeah, no, we're doing the big interest is that it's multi-jurisdictional and that the idea, if you recall, I call it the template idea, but we probably have a better name for it eventually. But that we would be able to develop 4 or 5 blueprints that we could utilize in when a project comes in or when the town acquires something. First of all, to see what kind of complete street style improvements would be appropriate depending on the space available. And if, you know, and if there's not, what would we have to have dedicated from a property owner that was doing something, you know. So the complete street style template, the water access, or maybe not access, but waterfront templates where we, you know, some stuff is going to be, you know, something recreational, maybe some of it's probably completely hands off. But how do we do it? And the idea is that rather than having an applicant come in with a project with, and we kind of decide, well, we do this, we would say, okay, this is what we can do right here. This template works well here. It matches Acton, which is what we're trying to do with the complete street style stuff, very similar to their stuff. And then the MAPC portion, they're looking at developing the district with us. And it'll be nice because they'll be spearheading, you know, the outreach and things like that, so that we'll be using their resources too. So it'll be like we have a whole another substaff.
So would that include the boundaries of the actual overlay?
Yeah, because, yeah, right, because there's questions about that. We get the value of what would we really want to do with it, and
Well, there's the intent, but then there's also what parcels and properties and what sides of the road and the extent and bounds of all that. And
Exactly.
We had back in December, I believe it was, we had some really good conversations about all of that.
Yeah.
That I don't want to get lost.
yeah, no.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, you should say, yeah, and that, so I'm sure we'll, yeah. Well, we did the movie with the drone for on the video on there. It did a couple of years ago with somebody in Acton had one, pretty cool. And, but yeah, we can use the drone thing on that. And then the other part, the last part is, you know, the specific uses of, I've been researching about, because I've been interested in this, you know, is there a senior component that might work in this for designing? And interestingly enough, I've been looking and I found some examples of stuff that would be fun to talk about and workshop and see what we do.
Can they help us out with a senior component, or is that something that's more of an internal thing?
I
Because I
don't feel,
I agree with the senior component after been thinking about it for you know, weeks and months now.
yeah, there's some models out there that I'd like to learn more about. I haven't met anybody that's an authority on it yet.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're out there, and I don't feel I am knowledgeable enough to really dive in at this point. But I'm catching up on it, and I will be.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's to me, it's one of the lessons of our housing production plan is that, hey, you're graying, which is normal, but you know, times are changing and people may be living under completely different circumstances in the next 15, 20 years. And or next, I don't know, whatever. But I think it would be, it's definitely would be something that we want to undertake certainly consider. And we need a hotel.
Okay. We need to tell.
And
Was
that's all
was
I-
that a non sequitur?
Yeah.
No, okay.
You hotel. Just
Right.
statement.
So we had a good update on, we have our working assignments for the home-based business working group. And we talked about Powder Mill Corridor Initiative. We spent some time the last few meetings discussing lessons learned from the downtown overlay district. Those were our large goals for this particular fiscal year, so I just want to congratulate the board on conducting many of our top goals. I think we've done a really good job for the fiscal year. This past year.
You guys have been dynamite.
And I think there's one thing left for me and you to do, Bill, is I think we need to memorialize the discussion on the downtown overlay district that we've had the last few months.
Okay.
I have my own notes that I'm planning to
Okay.
draft up in a memo. I just want to memorialize that and communicate that to the select board.
Yeah,
Makes sense?
yeah, that would be good. I'm a little bit in the weeds.
I'm gonna take that on.
Okay, yeah, to draft that up anytime in the next couple of weeks, but.
And I know we still have a lot of pending work to do, and I recall that Julio had wanted to dig into some data before we could continue that conversation, but I still wanna, document where we left things off and what we're looking to do next. Does that make sense?
That does.
Coming up. So I remember, I've been talking about coming up with new fiscal goals, but I feel like we still have a number of irons in the fire that I don't know if we need to at the moment. So I wanted to get feedback from the board on that. If we feel
Particularly with the powder mill thing coming.
do we feel comfortable with our current special projects list, or does anyone want to take on anything new? Or have anything?
We already have way more than we can do.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. So, Natalie, I see you're on the phone now. Feel free to join us if you want. I'm sorry, Natalie, you're having such a hard time.
You're on mute on your phone.
I was trying to be less awkward. So, I was trying to be less awkward, sorry. Can you hear me now? Yeah, I feel I've got plenty going on. I'm trying to coordinate some CPC planning related stuff with Bill coming up as well, so.
All right, so we just continue on with what we have. I feel it's a great agenda and great goals, so. I'll just keep making.
Yeah. Christmas chair here.
Any other thoughts? No, anything else?
I'm
Any other board
getting
members?
nothing out of me anymore. I don't think. It just fried.
Well, that was a very productive meeting, everyone. Thank you for your time tonight. I am not available for the first meeting in July.
Yeah.
And it's Bill, it sounds like you have no schedule as of yet.
If the board was inclined, I'd say that would be a good one to kind of work on all projects, and I wouldn't. I don't have anything I expect coming in, although.
Well, tell you what, do we feel good to postpone?
I would wait. I'd wait in case, I am expecting, the one that really worries me, that I really want to get in here, and we're working with them. Crossing, Rick. Can't think of the guy who does the signage for Maynard Crossing, but we redid the signs a little bit to get the smaller signs and more of them. Because they're gonna run out of signs, which is what we were always afraid of. And we're gonna have to, there's not gonna be anything I can do if they come in and somebody wants a sign for a new business and we can't give it to them because we used up. We never applied for the whole structure for whatever reason, the whole complex. So they redid it. They went down to the smaller signs, but it still has to go through the board. And so I want them to come in and do an amendment, and I need it sooner rather than later, but I can't.
Okay.
That's the only thing I'm thinking may come in, but I don't think we have time. now to even advertise, so now you mention it, we couldn't have a public hearing.
And I mean,
On the
July,
12th.
July 4th is happening very soon, so.
I would say we just cancel that meeting, especially since that would be the one where we, I don't know, redo the office. If you don't show up for it, you're gonna be appointed chair again.
That's right.
I'm fine. I'm fine tentatively postponing unless there's some urgent action.
Okay.
Is that a form of a motion?
Do we need a motion to? postpone?
I would recommend we,
Just wait, okay, we'll wait.
I feel better wait, and
We'll
I
wait,
would,
Bill, that's fine. But don't
just in
send it
case
over.
something happened, I would hate for something to come up that we didn't anticipate.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know what could, but.
And so we're clear, we're talking specifically, it's like the 12th or something like that, right?
Yeah, and it's always a chair's prerogative. I mean, I think you can. Cancel, we post it that it's canceled.
We'll wait, we can touch base next week. If you don't have anything by, the first business day of next week, then there's nothing to be done.
Don't mind that.
Anything else? Natalie, anything else? It can be a thumbs up, thumbs down if you want.
Nothing else.
Thanks, Natalie. Jim, would you like to do the honors?
I would love to. I will move that we close the meeting.
I'll second it. All in favor by hand? 5060 to close the meeting. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for everyone
Hi, everybody.
participating. Thanks, Andy.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Thanks, Linda.
Bye-bye.